edition of On the Trail in Search of Living Legends. This is going to be season 5, episode 16. I can't believe it.
Man, that is amazing already.
Season has flown by. We've got an awesome guest tonight. First, let me introduce my co-host and my partner, Mr. Nick Valenti, my big brother. Hey, Nick, how's it going, brother?
Oh, I am doing great. How about you, Jay?
Awesome. And like I said, we've got an awesome guest tonight, Mr. Mike Colontonio. Mike, how's it going?
What's up, guys? Good to meet you. Good to see
Mike, Casadich.
Thanks for coming on, man. It's an honor.
Yeah, absolutely, bro. You know, it's been a long time in the making for whatever reason or another, you know. But
played phone tag for a while and finally got you on.
Yeah,
that's all that matters. So, Mike, you want to just tell us a little bit about yourself, how your bio, how you got into this crazy field we all love?
Sure. You know, it's I guess it's a little bit unique, but it's kind of similar to a lot of people in a lot of ways too. I got out of the military, and I was in the Army, and when I was getting out, when my contract was ending, my unit was going overseas to Afghanistan. So I extended my contract, and I ended up going over there, and you know, a lot of, lack of better words, a lot of, you know, crappy things happened, and so it affected me afterwards quite a bit. Still does, but I ended up going to the I couldn't really adapt back to civilian life very well. I used to have quite a bit of a drug problem, and I ended up going back to that. Found out that wasn't going to work out very well. So I started getting treated for my, you know, PTSD and my addiction and everything under the sun. And I started from ground zero again, and just really came out on a blank slate. Changed everything, you know, everybody I knew, everything I did. It took about 5 years to get it right, you know, finally. And over those years, I walked the same trails like every single day. And you know, I couldn't go out in public really. I still have issues with it. I have social anxieties, and you know, I have a service dog just to go into public places sometimes, and you know, I've come a long way, but back then that was all I could do. You know, if I wasn't in the VA or at home, I was in those woods. And for quite a while, I started to like, almost like, I was very into like what Mike Patterson was doing, Sasquatch, Ontario. And I was kind of like reenacting like what I thought I would do if I was in a Sasquatch area, because Long Island didn't have that, right? That's what I was told. That's what I just went with. I didn't know. I just kind of went with everything I thought. I thought I had to go to the Pac West, right? So
yeah,
I was actually planning on going there. You know, I didn't even know anything about New York, really, honestly. I didn't even know I didn't know much about anything. I was just going off what, you know, if you search Sasquatch and Bigfoot, like I was just going off those top searches, which won't get you far, right? So I was actually planning to go out to the Pac West. And this is about almost 6 years of walking those trails, and kind of just like a kid, like I was an only child, so I was always used to like kind of like talking to myself, playing, you know, like kind of like, you know, doing the imagination thing. So whatever. So I was literally like a kid, like practicing, like pretending to play out what I'm gonna do when I get there. And boom, that's when it happened. That's when my encounter happened.
Oh,
And
okay.
yeah, and I wasn't expecting it really. I had people telling me, like, I was doing a little video here and there, and people were like, "Oh, I see something, I see something, I see something," but I wasn't seeing something. And you know, this was unmistakable. This was a full on, you know, physical encounter. Mind you, my last occupation was a combat soldier, you know, and I hear people a lot talk about how they will react. Oh, if I saw one, I'll do this. Or, hey, why don't you run towards them? Blah, blah, blah. All these different things I hear from people. And I always say to them, you really don't know how you're going to react. You really don't. There's no way to prepare yourself for that moment. My reaction was I dropped, fight or flight. I did flight, but my flight I went to the ground. I dropped to the ground, shaking, started crying. I believe I was yelling like, no, 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 kind of like put my hand up like, and as much as I wanted to see a Sasquatch, when I did, it scared the crap out of me. And it wasn't, I want to be clear, he didn't do anything threatening. He didn't do anything, nothing. Didn't do anything, like wasn't showing teeth, wasn't, vocalizing, wasn't, wasn't ramping or raging or nothing. Just the sight of it made me react that way. That's just the way my body and mind reacted, was complete and utter fear. And I guess that was my best solution. My body's reaction was to just drop and kind of like beg, and knowing what I know now, I feel bad for the way I reacted. Like I feel stupid for the way I reacted, but at that stage, that's just where I was and what happened. And I work past that every day, but the woulda, shoulda, couldas, wish I woulda, done things differently. I try to pick up and just move forward and go on to the next one and go on to the next day.
Mike, just interject for the people that are listening. The uniqueness of your encounter is that you had this encounter on Long Island, New York. Yeah. I mean, folks, we're talking about Long Island, New York. Look it up on a map and you'll see why this is such a unique thing. We're not going to tell you where Mike had the encounter, but just know that you have Sasquatch in Canada, you have it in Australia, you have them in almost every state of the union. They might look a little different because there's 11 different types, but yes, out there on Long Island, New York, there was a Sasquatch encounter. And Mike, about how tall you think he was?
I used to say about 10 foot, but I'd put him around 9,
Right. That's still pretty huge.
Yes. And, yeah. He's a big boy.
Yeah,
he's a big boy. I still go in those woods very, very regularly. I still go past that same spot over and over and over again. I still tell him thank you for that time, because man, I'm still growing. I'm still growing from that moment. You know what I mean? Like I'm still learning from that moment all the time.
But from that moment, it got you interested in cryptozoology per se, correct?
Sure. It's odd enough because I had always, as a kid, I had always been interested in cryptozoology. I guess it was mostly Nessie for me. And, I've always been attracted to water. Like it's a big thing for me. I don't know why. Like it calms me. I love it. I could stare at it all day, just rivers, oceans, whatever. My mom used to ask me when I was young, where do you want to go? What do you want to do? What do you want to do this year? Vacation.
Go to the beach.
I'd always say, hey, well, that's where we would end up. We would end up in Montauk all the time. Because that was like my backup. Little did I know, all about Montauk at that point. But I would always say, I want to go to Scotland. I want to go to Loch Ness. And I would tell everyone, you just got to get me there. I know where we got to go. I know where we got to sit. Like I had like a visual of where I had to be, even at a young age. I know where we got to go and where we got to sit. We just got to get to this spot and we're going to see this thing. And like, I was so adamant about it as a young kid. And then in the teens, all that faded away somewhere, you know what I mean? For whatever reason, and you get tied up in everything else and, all that. But as a young kid, I remember saying that all the time. Like, we just got to get there. Like, we just got to get there.
Yeah. Yeah. Did you ever get there?
Not yet. You're still young. Not yet.
Yeah. I've been to a lot of countries, but a lot of them where I was mostly on the Army's time. So
Mm.
Right, right.
When you're in
No, I'm like,
Afghanistan, did you get to go to Kandahar and possibly look around for the Kandahar giants?
Oddly enough, I was stationed in Kandahar for the most part.
Mm.
Um, you don't really get to do much of anything. Uh, you can't really go and do anything. But most of the time, you're just on a base, kind of protecting your neck.
Right.
And then when you go out, that's all you're doing too is kind of just getting where you gotta go. Getting to the next fob, which is a forward operating base. You
Right.
just that's your goal is just to get back and forth to one or the other safely. And
And not
it's
run over an IED or have an
correct. Yep.
RPG fly up your tailpipe or
Yeah.
get sniped. I mean, that's why they told you you go outside the gates. You have your vest on, you have your rifle with you, you make sure you're ready.
Yeah. We I don't think I really was ever on foot, outside the wire.
Mm-hmm.
Really barely ever, unless somebody's truck blew up and we had to get out and hook it up and stuff. That
Like a
was
QRF or something, or
QRF I did for a little while. I did that, and then it's kind of a rotating slot. Because you get worn out on that job real quick. Quick reaction forces. You get
uh-huh.
you get worn out because you're
Oh,
24 hours a day for
oh
a
yeah.
week, 2 weeks, and you get burnt out. So they kind of cycle you in and out. I had to do it in Korea too. When I was stationed in Korea, I had to do a quick reaction force on the DMZ, and like you just lay there on your stomach and stare at an invisible line. Uh,
no.
just feel tanks driving. There's like a tank driving past you 100 yards up, and you're standing there with a pew pew pew. They're not going to do anything. It's a bunch of. It's tough. It's tough.
Mm.
Looking back, I'm like, man, I had a false sense of braveness back then. Like,
So here you are at home, in Long Island. You're walking around through the forest area. It's calming. It's just like serene, and you come upon a Sasquatch. And from there, I guess once you came to grips with it, you got even more interested in, locating them again, possibly seeing them again, huh?
yeah, that's like kind of the thing I always mention is I think when you bump into Sasquatch, you make a decision after that to never go back in the woods or to keep going in and find answers. You know what I mean?
Mm.
There's some
Agreed.
people who, like
Agreed.
say, I'm never going back. I'm never going in there. I'll never hunt again. Some people move to cities. You know what I mean? Because
Oh yeah.
it messes them up so bad. And for me, it took me about 2 days of I was completely like, I was like I don't even know. I don't even know. I don't even remember much about it, but I think my mind was just like mush, trying to process everything.
Yeah.
And yeah, a couple days later, I went at it. I started going back in, and you know, uh, the rest is history, I guess. Just I go out as much as I can, as often as I can. I try to make contact. If you don't love nature, being someone who searches for Sasquatch or Sasquatch signs, that's not going to love you back if you don't love nature, because there's a lot of time and a lot of work and effort and miles and thorns and cuts and bruises and falls and slips and bangs and you know gas mileage and this and that and batteries need doing. Like there's so much that goes into it in between each sighting and each encounter. And you know what I mean? And there's bee stings, whatever. Like there's
Mm.
so many things that happen in between those, hurrah moments. So if you don't love being out in nature and just kind of embracing everything and looking at everything and just taking it in one day at a time, like it could be tough, but I love it. I love it. Like I love
Yeah.
everything about it. Like I love just looking at every little thing and every, oh, what is that? Could that be? Could this be? Everything, just embracing it all and enjoying nature. So
Mm.
for me, it's wonderful.
Any Dogman sightings out in Long Island?
Yeah, I had some bad experience with that. So I but I so what happened with me was I did some disrespectful stuff inadvertently, and pissed them off. So I kind of just learned to kind of just I learned what respect looks like to them, and I just give it to them, and I stay out of their way. I don't think they like me very much since that. You know, whether they hold a grudge or what, I don't know. But you know, I know they were pissed, and I know that it was enough for me to say okay. And it was a war I didn't want to wage, so I looked for
Yeah.
any way to get a ceasefire. It took me a whole month of like making amends and gifting and a lot of things. I had to go and talk to like you guys probably know a lot of these guys. I won't put their names out there, but they were so helpful to me because I was just lost in the sauce. I didn't know what to do.
Mhm.
But yeah.
I find I do a lot of counseling services these days. Uh,
Yes.
as the founder of the International Dogman Project, I get letters and emails and text message and phone calls from people. And Mike, I'm going to tell you, I got a lot of people that have had encounters with Dogman, or just sightings, just plain old sightings. And like a lady coming home with her daughter on a road, 6 o'clock at night, still sort of light out, and she sees this bipedal wolf-like creature 7 feet tall crossing a road. Her daughter was having problems, wouldn't go to school for over a month. The lady herself was having problems, almost to the point of getting a divorce from her husband. I mean, it was horrible. And I can't tell you, I spoke with her for over 3 weeks. I had a guy, a former Army Ranger, lives in Virginia. He would not go to sleep. He didn't go to sleep for 7 days and nights.
Yeah.
Because he had sightings outside his house. He was worried that they were going to come in.
Yeah. Yep.
And I mean, he barricaded the doors. He put bars on the windows.
Well, it was to the point, Nick, where I was told to like, urinate on the perimeter of my yard. I was too scared to stand out there and do that. So I was, sorry if this gets graphic, but I was going to the bathroom in cups and throwing it out my door.
Marking your territory.
I was too scared to go out there. You know what I mean? And that's like, I mean, that's the point it was at. And, like I said, I had to find a better solution than that. So I spoke to some guys who found some, who had some know-how about how to please them. And I would do those things, gift them those things that they liked. And eventually it just seemed to just like, there was just like a fog lifted, like almost like there was just like a weight off my shoulders. And it just seemed like, they weren't pressing on me anymore. So I just left it at that,
So with the Dogman though, was it just a sighting or was it an encounter? Now, to me, a sighting is you just see them off in the distance. An encounter is they're standing there and you're standing there.
All right. There's a couple different times where I probably should have took a hint. They were like tactically moving towards me one day. I was in the Pine Barrens. I do not go to this spot anymore. I won't go to this spot anymore. I won't go back there. But they were like tactically moving in like a trio, like very like military, like doing something over here to get my attention, and no one would like move up, and like they were just advancing and advancing, and I'm slowly backing out, and it's not necessarily, I wouldn't say I was getting good visuals at that time, but like I knew what was happening. It was like I was seeing like flashes and like things running. Like I knew what it was. And then night fell, and they were vocalizing. And we don't have coyotes and wolves on Long Island. We don't have we don't have bear. The biggest thing out here is a white-tailed deer. So when you see something bigger than a white-tailed deer with fur hauling ass through the woods, it's really not a question of what it is. It's it's what cryptid is it.
Right.
You know what I mean? So it's it's interesting.
Yeah.
So anyway, the last time I had I had a visual of them because they got really close to me. They could have took my head off if they wanted to, very easily. Could have took my head off if they wanted to, because I guess it's called a bluff charge, and they came through the thick. I was coming down this like alley, if you will. It's like there's trees on both sides, all the way down like this like, it's not really a trail. It's like a fat area that's cut out by grass, and it's in this back area behind a university, and it's all it's interesting back there. Anyway, long story short, the trees, it's very, very thick in there. Like anything in there has to go very low under these things, like because it's so thick. So whatever this, anyway, they were huge. They had to be really big and strong because they came crashing through like at a height level where they would have had to go through a lot of brush. And when they came out, it was like, it was almost like I don't know, like a horror house, when like you're like kind of walking through like the haunted house, and then like something like it leans out and like leans back in, you know what I mean? Like it like comes out like close to you and scares you, and then like it like goes back. It was like something like that. But I was out in the middle of the freaking open, surrounded by trees and woods, and I had a little dinky flashlight and a camera to defend me. Yeah, and anyway, so I made it back home. So like I said, they could have. A lot of it was intimidation. A lot of it was, terrorizing me, because they could have done worse. So do I think they're horrible, horrible things? I don't. I really don't, because they, to an extent, they have some morals. They have some kind of code or whatever, because they could have offed me dozens and dozens and dozens of times.
Well, let me just say that I've said this on other programs, and I've met with a lot of different cryptozoologists. I've read a lot of research on it. Dogman is not dumb. He's not human level intelligence, but they're not dumb. They know, Mike, that if they start slaughtering humans, that the other humans are going to catch on, and that we'll come after them and we'll eradicate them. I think they understand that much, because they see the other animals in the forest area, in the woods and everything, and they see the humans hunting them down. And I think they have an understanding, not to, but they are going to bluff you. They are going to intimidate you. And, they are the apex predators out there in the woods.
I mean, so if you've looked at Long Island too, like you see how it's broken down. So they're very much amongst us already.
Right.
So whatever patches of like forest and woods that they have, I'm sure they're very protective over it.
No.
Definitely. Did you have an estimate of the size? How big, how tall?
Those two guys that charged me, I don't, because the brush was probably only 5 or 6 feet tall, you know what I mean? And I'd imagine they were like, I'd imagine they might have been bigger than that because of their strength that it took to come through that and whatever. Mind you, I didn't get like a great look at them because it was so fast and it was coming through so much brush and it was getting dark, but I knew what was happening, especially with the green glowing eyes following me, like they were doing that tactical movement again. It wasn't like, it wasn't deer, like, doing this and this and this and moving through the brush and sidestepping. And anyway, long story short, I didn't get a good look. So I'd say they were probably big, but it's hard to say if they were concealing themselves. I don't know much about them. I don't know if they have like, any capabilities, or they're just a flesh and blood thing or whatever. People ask me all the time. I don't have a good answer, but
right. Well, I had an encounter 30 feet away from one for about 1 minute and 10 seconds, Mike, in New Jersey.
Oh, okay.
Mountainside, New Jersey. I lit this thing up with 500,000 candle power of light off of my Jeep, and this thing just stood there eating a hindquarter, I guess, of a deer. It didn't look straight at me. It looked off to its left while it was eating. And I'm going to tell you, this thing, when I came back the next day with reinforcements, I measured it up against to where it was next to a stop sign. It measured 7 feet 7 inches tall, and I estimate that it was 650 pounds. It didn't do any mind speak to me. It didn't do anything like that, but I got the idea that it thought I was insignificant.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
So, I mean, these things, when people see them, they, have their sightings, whether it be for 5-6 seconds or for, half a minute or so. It's a life changer, and it's a
Yeah,
mind
it
changer
is.
because you're like, these things actually exist.
Mhm.
I have yet to see a Sasquatch. I've actually had one encounter and 3 other sightings of a Dogman in
Okay.
10 years that I've been researching them in different states. And I'll tell you, like you said in the beginning, some people, they move to the city when they see them. I had a lady 900 feet away from where I live in New Jersey. She had a house that backed up into a state park, and she had an encounter. She was out of her house that same day. She had her house for sale the next day. She moved to Florida. And I say, good luck with that, lady. You got alligators, you got skunk apes.
Dogman.
You've got Dogman down there too. So remember, there's Louisiana. They got the Rougarou down there. So
Right. Yeah, they've been talking about Rougarou forever, right?
yeah,
That's why I try to
exactly.
remind people, like, they like, oh, what, this Dogman came out of nowhere. I'm like,
No,
no, it didn't.
no,
I mean,
if you
it
look
comes-
up the history of Dogman in the late 1700s, 1780s, the lumberjacks worked, the companies that worked Michigan and Wisconsin, the lumberjacks had quite a few encounters with Dogman up there. And I would think that was the first place where we as white man reported it. But then when you go and look into the history of Native American Indians, it goes
Yes.
even further back.
Sure.
And
So, I mean,
Columbus as well.
yeah.
Well, I think, I look at it like Anubis was viewed as a god, but so to an extent, I think Anubis was a dog man. You know what I mean?
Had a jackal face though, but
Yeah, well,
okay,
like the
maybe.
perception, but
right.
yeah, I don't know. Just, but like you said, yeah, like I always say, like China, I don't think they idolize dragons for no reason. You know what I mean?
Right, exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Well,
So
look in Indonesia. There's 4 islands in Indonesia that have Komodo dragons. These things are large, they're fast, they're vicious.
Yeah.
They inject their victim with a bite that has some sort of shocking element to it in the liquid. So I mean, these things were first discovered by explorers, and they thought they were dragons. And they didn't even have wings on them,
Yeah.
But wow, I mean,
they're living dinosaurs.
yeah.
I mean, everything on that island with the Komodo Island, like it's
everything
nothing.
wants to kill you.
Yeah.
Everything.
Yeah.
Believe me, and you don't want a Komodo dragon running after you, because I believe what I read is that they can get up to 40 miles an hour for a short distance. Even if they can only do that for like 100 yards or so. I mean, that's quick.
I had a Nile monitor for a while, which is not as vicious as the Komodo dragon, obviously, but it's like a cousin of the Komodo, and I named her Nessie. But anyway, she was small. She was still small. Her body was probably like from my wrist to my point, but her tail was long and whatever. So every time I would take her out, she would bite onto one of my fingers and then dig into my arm with like every nail, and then she would take her tail and whip the living crap out of me. And this thing was only this big, and she would put up a fight with me like that. I literally would like struggle with this little lizard. She was only like not even a foot long yet.
Wow.
So they're strong. They're really, really strong.
When you still had her, what was her longest?
About 2 foot.
Wow.
About 2 foot.
Good
Yeah.
size.
And she still pulled that crap with you, even when she was bigger?
Oh, I didn't mess with her as much.
Oh,
I
Don't
didn't.
blame you.
I know. I didn't mess with
Don't
her.
blame
If
you.
I didn't have to, I didn't mess with her. Yeah.
Don't blame you. Now,
Oh,
Mike,
my.
you've had other encounters too, haven't you, with Sasquatch?
Yes. Yeah. Quite a bunch. And it depends how you categorize them, I suppose. Right.
Yeah.
Like, do you need to see Patty walking across a open area
Right.
for that to be your sighting, or can it be them in the veil, or can it be them like partial, or can it be that just a head sticking out, or
Sure.
a tree peeker, or what? It depends what you categorize things as, right? So
Yeah.
um if we're talking flesh and blood, like I've had a few encounters where I've seen them full on like that, like full on physical. Like 3 pop in my head right away. You know what I mean? Like that
Yeah.
I can remember. And there might be more, but um yeah, I've come to realize that they have way more capabilities than just something,
Yes, they do.
playing hide and seek. So
We've talked about that several times, Mike. Me and you, and they're. I was with the ant for years, and until the weirdness started happening over the past 10 years, and I realized there's more to these things than people think. They have
I
abilities,
yeah,
capabilities.
I'd love for it to be something easy, bro. Like something's just standing
Sure.
out there hiding really well. I'd love for
Yeah.
that to be it. People are like, "Oh, you make it out to be like a fairy tale and this and that." No, I don't want it to be this difficult. I would love for it to just be that way, that
Right.
something's out there better than me at hiding, because then I know what I have to do. I just have
Right.
to, break it down and find it. It's not that simple. I wish it was, but it's not.
Yeah. It's not. It's not that simple. No way.
Mm.
No.
Plus, because we don't really know what they are, plus because we know that, that you see them 1 second and then the next second they're gone. They could be flesh and blood, yes. But since physicists have said that there's 11 different dimensions, who's to say they're not from another dimension? Who's to say that they don't use a portal to transport themselves out of here and out of your sight? Who's to say they're not alien, put down here by a UFO? Or maybe they are themselves aliens, and they're going back and forth. We don't know. Reason I mentioned it, Mike, is that you got to think out of the box. That's all. You have to be open-minded.
Absolutely. And then I always make it a point to make sure I say, hey, like if it's not something that the Sasquatch told me from the horse's mouth, from the Sasquatch mouth, I don't say it like as a fact. And even if it comes directly through them via like download or MindSpeak or whatever, something they showed me, I'll say this might only be for me and this area and that particular Sasquatch. Like I don't like to make blanket statements. Like I'm not comfortable saying the Sasquatch this or the Sasquatch anything, like across the board, because there's so many different places, and you know what I mean? I don't know anything. I don't know everything about every human culture. Forget about it. It would take me the rest of my life to figure out every human culture and everything about humans. You know what I mean? So forget about it. Forget about me trying to figure out everything about everyone. So if I could work my way on one particular family or tribe or whatever, I'll do that, and I'll try and put my all that.
Yeah. Good point. Good point, Mike. For sure.
But I do like to travel around and check different things out. I'm looking forward to coming up to see you, Jeremiah, too.
Yeah, I can't wait. We're Nick and I were just talking about that. We're planning something this summer. We'll keep you in the loop.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I'm gonna probably be up there quite a bit over this spring and summer. So
good.
Yeah, it would be good because there's a research area that Jay was telling me about, and we were thinking about putting it out to the members of all the groups that we have, and it would be nice. It'd be nice to get 100, 120 people up there, maybe more. But I mean, there's logistics we got to figure out. Hotels and stuff where people can stay. We want to give them the information. We want to tell them, there's places you can stay. These are these places you can eat at. These are the times we're going to meet. We're going to go into the wooded area. I would give them a list of items that they should have in their backpacks with them, because we'd be doing daytime and nighttime field investigation.
Mhm.
So, and the area he's telling me about, I was checking it out, Jay, on the map, and that's some area. That is
Yeah.
something.
It's a scary area.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd want to keep the groups together,
Sure.
if it's only
Absolutely.
one group, that's fine, but we might split it into two, but they'd have to stay either with you or with me. And, we
don't
gotta
think-
safeguard everybody.
I don't think people realize how big like Adirondack Park is. You know,
It's unbelievable.
it's insane.
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 62 million acres. I mean, that's bigger than any national park in the country.
That truly is. That truly is. I mean, to say you go 10 or
Catskill
12
Park.
miles into that, that's nothing. That's just scratching the surface.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's nuts.
Yeah.
You could fit, like, I try to explain to people, I'm like, you could fit Yellowstone Glacier, like
Everglades.
yeah, you could drop them all in there and still have room to play.
Yep.
It's ginormous. Oh my God.
Yep. It's easy. It's absolutely huge and
Yeah.
very, very active. I mean, God, I look at my own backyard and it's crazy.
Mike, you ever get hit with any infrasound or any mind speak while you're out walking around from the Squatches?
Yeah, mine speak for sure. Yeah, the infrasound, I'm not really sure. I hear a lot of people say like zapped. It's like a term.
Yeah.
I was one of the things that I received early on was that they suggested that I don't stare at them for too long. Even if I see them, don't stare at them too long,
Yes.
because it will make you kind of weak and draw kind of whatever.
Yeah.
For whatever reason, it'll make me not feel well and stuff. So
Yeah.
it wasn't something they intentionally did, or he was intentionally doing. He just was telling me. So that zap thing was like something kind of negative.
Well, remember where you're at there. You're in New York, even though you're on Long Island, and we're talking about Sasquatch from the hood. I mean, they be going, "You be looking at me, bitch? Come on, who you looking at?" And they come up to give you chest bumps and stuff, and smack you, and then you be in trouble. You got the hood squatch.
Oh,
Damn.
you got. Don't make it. What do you got over there, Snooky Squatch?
That's it.
That's yeah.
I can never remember the name of them. Oh, the Jersey Shore guy.
Jersey
Yeah.
Shore. That's it.
It's interesting because whenever I go to the Pine Barrens, Nick, everybody thinks I'm in Jersey. And they're like, "Oh yeah, that's the Pine Barrens, and that's the sighting, and this and that." And our Pine Barrens are only like 100,000 acres on the island. It's not huge, but it's enough. But yeah, I'd imagine it's a lot bigger in Jersey. The Pine Barrens there.
It's down in South Jersey, and yeah, it's quite a bit bigger.
2 million, right? Yeah.
A little bit of 2,600,000 acres.
Oh, okay, so
It
it's a lot
covers.
bigger, yeah.
Yeah, that's the home of the Jersey Devil.
Right, that's what it was. That's what I was thinking of. Yes.
Yeah.
That's
And
what I was thinking.
also an old stomping ground going back 30, 40, 50 years of the Mothers and Fathers Italian Association.
Right. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
a lot of concrete in the water over there, I'm going to tell you.
Yeah. Some cinder block shoes laying around.
Mhm.
And Mike,
So-
let me ask you a question. And you don't have to answer if you don't want to, but we talked over the years, and you've run into other entities too, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I guess the one that keeps popping into my head, honestly, is that stupid thing that's like a rake, I guess. I don't really know. Like, I don't really know.
It's like a whitish, opaque, skeletonized
You know
Being?
the thing on creepypasta that's like on all fours, like
Yeah,
that's
Yeah.
right.
that's what it looked like. The closest to.
No,
The
God.
closest.
I mean, we got to call it something, so why not call it the rake? It's
Yeah.
that is one creepy thing. You actually had an encounter with something like that out there. Wow.
Yeah, it was two different occasions. Yeah.
Oh,
And, yeah, it was a very weird overall. And then it was just not fun. Not fun.
you're
It's just
lucky to be
very,
talking to us because Sasquatch Dogman, that's one thing.
well,
Rake,
that's the only reason. If I wasn't friends with Sasquatch, I wouldn't be here. Tell you that much. Because that was the end result when this thing was hauling ass towards me the second time. That was my reaction. I didn't think to run. I might have like looked around a little to like think about running, but I didn't. I just kind of like, yep, that's it. Like there wasn't like put up your dukes, like get the hell out of here. Like I was just like, shit, it is what it is. Like, yeah, like I was, because the first time I saw this thing, it was very like unsure of itself. Both days were overcast. It was daytime, but it was very, overcast. And then with the canopy, it was pretty dark in the brush, and the first time this thing was very unsure of itself, like kind of looking at me, and didn't look very strong. It didn't look very like sure of itself. And it went and it hauled ass under the, it did the same thing. It didn't go as fast as it did the second time, but that's a different story. And it went into this, like, I call it the Rake Cave because I don't know what the hell else it is, but it's basically a huge underground opening that goes under these huge tunnels of these old government buildings and stuff. So I'm pretty sure that's where it stays at, down there somewhere. Huge property, huge underground. Apparently there's a sub basement under the basement, and who knows? It don't matter. I'm sure it could go even lower than that if it wants to. So the second time, it looked more confident. It looked more stronger. It had veins like popping out of it, like it was like flexing, almost like it was like pulsing, almost like everything in it was like pulsing. Like you could, like you could almost see like energy flowing through its like opaque body, and like its veins were like, it didn't have like me and you like, oh, like veins, like it had like different colors, and like they were all raised, and like it looked like it was like supercharged, like I don't know, like you ever seen Interview with a Vampire, when like the guy is like, one of the vampires is like all like sick and weak, and then like it kills something and like it gets all strong, and, like that's like the only comparison I have, kind of like it looked kind of shitty the first time, and then the second time it looked like it was like, it just took some pre-workout or something,
Yeah.
That's bizarre. Yeah. And that is bizarre.
Definitely.
You have quite a few things out there on Long Island then. My God. With the population density you have, that's absolutely amazing.
That's what it blows my mind too, man, because I'm like, I go out with a lot of guys now, and I get a lot of reports now, and recent, ones that happen daily. Then I have some that like, just happen, or like, and then I have some people that date them back, like many years, and they're like coming to me and they're like, hey, and let me tell you how many people are like out of state now, and they're like, I used to live there and this happened. And I'm like, native Long Islanders that don't live there no more. And I'm like, man, where were you guys? Like, I could have used these people, because I promise when I first had that happen, Jeremiah and Gary and Kenny, they were the guys I reached out to. And finally I kind of bumped into somebody, because I was looking every which way for somebody. And I was like, like, I'm on Long Island. Like, nobody was responding to me about it. Like, everyone was like, that's kind of impossible. Like, I wasn't really getting anybody who was taking me serious until I bumped into these guys. And New York Bigfoot Society and everything, and they like just welcomed me in and made me feel like I wasn't crazy. And even though they weren't I wasn't coming from a paranormal aspect at the time at all. You know what I mean? I was just kind of like a guy who was just confused. But even to this day, we have such a great relationship. Not all of us kind of see eye to eye on everything, but who really can from all these different experiences,
Yeah. Yeah. Totally normal.
But I was just gonna sweep it. I was gonna be one of those people who just swept it all under the rug and pretended it didn't happen because I couldn't find anybody to talk to.
Mm.
Yeah.
I was just like, I must be crazy. I must be nuts.
Yeah. I can relate.
Well,
I can relate.
once that damn veil comes down, though, it's like there's no putting it back.
No, that's for sure. That's for sure.
Oh, Mike, it's been a while for you, I guess, since your first sighting and your first encounters and everything, but I could still tell because I've dealt with actually hundreds of people, and you probably still are affected by it to this day.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I could tell you still got that sort of PTSD from all those meetings and meeting a rake, amongst all other things has got to be the top of the heap on that one, because that must have been horrendous.
I'm sure you could tell I probably breezed through it as quick as I can on my explanations, and I'll leave out details if I can. I tend to, when I tell stories or encounters, things that happen to me, I kind of immerse myself in that moment and I start to feel it again. I start to feel it like I'm there.
That, Mike, that's what I meant. That's what I meant. I mean, it looked like you were reliving it.
Yeah.
And I got to apologize to you. I'm sorry that we brought this up.
It's okay. If I the first time I talked about it was with Doug Hychek, and I got really upset, I think, and they were like thanking me and apologizing too, and I said, though now that I said it out loud, it really didn't do me any. I'm not doing anybody I'm doing everybody an injustice by not. No matter if there's 100 people that don't like it or don't believe it or whatever, if it connects with one person that it helps, then it was worth going through all that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
It was worth putting it out if it reaches one person, in a positive light. And
that's why we all do this. Help people find their answers and help people that are in need. They're having problems or having problems dealing with their sightings of these things.
Yeah.
I think my duty as the investigator, to help people who need it.
Yeah, I get that message probably every day. Am I crazy? Is in the first sentence or two. You know what I mean? Like, am I going crazy? Am I losing my mind? I'm seeing this stuff. I don't know why. And it's so common. So common. And like it's nice to be able to be there for somebody, it really is, with no agenda, because some of the people I went to in the beginning had an agenda, and they were they use you for your story, or they use you
exactly,
whatever, or if you get good info or you get good photos or what they use, you know what I mean? And whatever. I'm not naming names, but they just whatever. Monetary purposes is usually where it boils down to.
Right.
Because there's no money in this unless you start to build some kind of whatever. I see it done sometimes, but you know what I mean.
Usually, if you're in the field to make money, you're in the wrong field.
Oh,
that's
yeah,
right.
for sure.
Yeah, we see that all too often.
Yeah, well, let's put it this way: the only way to make money in this field is to manipulate people, and that's it. That's the only way you can really make money, is if you manipulate people. If that's just being real, and it is what it is.
Yeah.
I started
Very well.
picking and choosing where I sit down and who I sit down with. So
Yeah.
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 And you guys are doing the right thing on every level. So keep up the great work, fellas.
We
Seriously.
appreciate that, Mike. We appreciate it, and finally glad we, man.
I only hear great things about both of you. You know, I might not. I do. I hear things about both of you guys a lot. So,
Yeah, same too.
We just try to put out the information for people out there, try to get them to, be able to, if they want to do research in the field, boots on the ground, how to do it safely. Anything we could put out there just to help everybody. I don't intend on making any money. I mean, when I was with the other organization, I was mailing out patches that I designed, that I paid for myself, and I paid for the postage. Anybody who wanted a patch, I would send it out to them, for free. It's not about making money. And I could name 2 names of people that are charlatans, I like to call them, Mike. And all they want is your story so that they can put it on their YouTube channel and make money.
Yep.
And, it's just, it's just not right. It's just not right at all.
No.
You know, like I get the point where you want to grow, and you want to, you obviously want to like have feedback and have people on your channel or your page or whatever that give you good feedback, and you want it to grow because but whatever, like there's a way to do it, and I hear what you're saying. I definitely hear what you're saying. Yeah, but no, you guys, like, look, if you make money, great. You know what I mean? If I make like $100 a month if I'm lucky. But that's if I get a lot of views on my videos and stuff like that. But that's about it.
Well, the thing is, what we do is we try to get people on to tell us real stories, that real encounters, real sightings. Jay and I, right, Jay, we had a couple of people we just outright refused to talk to anymore because what they were talking was BS.
Yeah.
I mean, you've got some people putting stories of guys that go out there and they're shoving their hands down the dog man's throat and ripping his tongue out. And I'm like, I'm sorry, that don't happen. I mean, you couldn't do that to a black bear or a brown bear. You sure as heck aren't going to be able to do that to a dog man. And these people are putting out these sensational stories just so that their channel will get viewers and make money.
Yeah.
I just don't believe in that. I'm sorry. My mantra is to prove or to disprove the existence of these creatures, and that's what I'm going to do.
I got a guy over in his channel's called Scary Stories NYC, and I respect him. He calls it Scary Stories. And,
I know about it.
He says allegedly true. He doesn't say, hey, this is a fact, whatever.
Right.
He just puts the story out, and like I respect him for that, and I like support him for that because he's not out here like trying to, you know what I mean? He's saying, I don't know, I don't know. I'm just gonna tell you guys what came to me, and I respect that.
Well, that's all he does. I mean, I had spoken with this fellow on the net, and I asked him about that, and he goes, I don't make these up. People call me or they'll mail me letters. And he even took a picture of a letter. Somebody hand wrote him a letter and mailed it to him. Their story, misspelled every other word. And they said it happened to them. At least the guys, I can respect that. He's putting it out there. Yeah. He's not the guy I'm talking about.
No, I know you're not. I know it's not.
But some of these guys are just beyond belief. Oh my God.
If you guys, I don't know, if you guys are, I don't know if you guys have your schedule booked for the rest of the year, but like, I mean, I network with a lot of guys, really, really great guys. So if you guys are really, interested in anybody, let's give me a shout, Jeremiah, whatever, Nick, you got, I think we're all connected on here somehow. So
I will definitely.
Oh, definitely. Yeah. We look for interesting people every week. As a matter of fact, week.
Maybe I could return the favor and have you guys on, one time, and you guys could kind of talk about, your stuff and You know, I
Oh, yeah.
obviously I don't do a podcast, but you know what I mean. Like sometimes I'll have guests on and we just do it informally and just shoot the breeze. You know?
Oh, sure. Anytime you want. It'll be great.
Anytime you-
Yeah, it's the best. It's the only way that to build awareness for each other is to
Exactly.
network, and you know what I mean. And that's what I like. I use my community tab for. You know, to me, that's what it's called. Like
That's it.
I take people's stuff, I share it there. I say, hey, check this guy out, check this person out.
Mhm.
You know, no, I can't force nobody on anything. But if I see something good going on, I'm gonna say here, like I'm gonna present it to the people that are with me. You know, because
Yeah.
Mm.
I want them to find more of the right stuff, not search around and end up in the wrong places. In my opinion, the wrong places. So
Sure.
And as
Yeah.
for me, I just want people to go out there safely to investigate things
Yep.
and,
That's
you know, and get home safely also.
well, that's important. That's one of the hugest things that can really get people messed up. You know, is
Yeah.
safety. It's just safety. I find myself making rookie moves too sometimes. Like I have too many backpacks sometimes. I have like a night backpack, and then I have like an everyday backpack, and then I have my day hiking backpack. And sometimes I'll grab the wrong one, and I'm out on like a 12-mile hike, and I'm 8 miles in, and I'm parched, and I'm like jelly legs, and I go to take my water out, and I got nothing. You know, I'm
Nah.
like it's just reckless shit.
Yeah.
Me too, man. Yeah.
Something you just mentioned, Mike, is a big deal. Water, especially when it's hot and humid out. I was out with my team, and I go with a team of 7 guys, unless it's a smaller team, an expeditionary team. We don't go as far in, but we were about 10 miles in, straight in this one area in Oklahoma, and it was a humid day. And I'm like, what the hell is wrong with me? I wasn't paying attention, and talk about a rookie move. I wasn't paying attention to drinking. And my second, he comes over and he goes, he shakes my canteen. He checks my water bottles. He goes, you haven't done anything. You haven't even taken a sip. I got to tell you something. I downed a quart of water in less than 5 minutes.
Yeah.
And I was like a new man.
Yeah.
I was just so into looking up, looking at the different trees and the markings, trying to find some tracks. I really wanted to find tracks, wasn't paying attention to anything. And evidently nobody was paying attention to me, and I wasn't looking at anybody. We were walking in a diamond formation, and I was at the top of the diamond, and I wasn't seeing everybody else. They were stopping and taking out their water, drinking from their camelbacks. I was the only one. I didn't do anything. I didn't even feel thirsty. And then all of a sudden it hit me, and bam. So Mike, good point. That's an excellent point. Stay hydrated.
Look,
Every
camelbacks
show
are
we pick up a little tidbit that you were saying before.
Yeah. Oh, Jay, your volume. Your volume's no good.
camelbacks are the best though.
Aren't they? I mean, they're back there. You just pull it over there and sip, you know. I mean, here it is right here, you know, and that's
Yeah.
it. And you can constantly do it while you're walking.
Yeah.
I didn't do any of that. I mean, I had bottled water. I had a canteen with water. The canteen was actually a little flavored, you know, just to give it a little taste. I was just so into this. I mean, we found some tracks. I was trying to follow the trail. I'm going to tell you, after a few hours, and we were quite a few miles in, and then it hit me. So you just got to be aware. You got to have self-awareness.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah,
Yeah,
you're much better.
Good. Much better.
Okay. How's our time, Nick?
We're okay. I guess another few minutes.
Yeah, definitely.
And then that's it.
Yep.
But like, I just want to remind everybody, Mike's out there in Long Island, and he's had some encounters with like at least 3 different types of cryptids. So you can see these cryptids or bump into them any place where you go. Down in South Jersey, there's a couple of towns down there where one of my members and also a friend of hers, a coworker, saw Dogman on 3 different occasions. And it was through the streets of the town. Now, it wasn't like New York City, not that kind of a town. We're talking South Jersey. It's a little slower down there. You know, the towns aren't with rush hour and all that stuff, but still, they found them down there. We're talking Long Island, which has a high population density, yet you still will find certain cryptids out there. It doesn't matter where you're at. I mean, I have a buddy of mine, boots on the ground in Australia. He not only has a type of a Bigfoot over there, he also has Dogman over there.
Dogman, yeah.
And he's had 2 occasions, at least 2 really serious occasions, where it was actually coming after him. So, I mean, we're talking Australia, folks. It's in the middle of the ocean out there. How did these things get there? Must have been a long time ago, or they got there some way. We don't know the answers. We don't know the answers.
I found that it's okay to not know the big picture answers, you know, and you know, it's hard for some people. I get it. Like I get it because that's, you know, but it could become obsessive. You know, if you try to find these big picture answers, and like you can really find yourself chasing and find, you know, you a lot of times I'm sure you guys know, every answer you find raises 100 questions.
More questions, right?
Yeah.
And you know, it could be very dizzying. So I just kind of learned to take it day by day and just say, hey, you know, every time I step in the woods, I don't go out with an agenda. I don't go out with like, obviously you want to find a footprint, you want to find some, whatever, that's great. But I go out with no agenda, really. I just say, hey, you know, Sasquatch, universe, nature, mother nature, I'm here today. I'm your student. I'm your student. I don't know nothing about nothing. Let's blank slate it. Can you get whatever you want to give me today? I am here. I'm ready to receive it, you know, and you know, that's where we go from there. So hopefully, you know, something great pans out, but
that's an excellent attitude to have. And Jay, I guess we are running out of filming time. So if you want to take it.
Sure. Well, everyone, thank you for joining us tonight. And we're going to be back next week with an awesome, awesome guest, just like Mike was tonight. And it's a great story. And Mike, we want to thank you so much for coming on.
Yeah. Mike, thank you very much for coming on.
Thank you very much.
Well, thank you guys. It was an honor. Appreciate you.
Don't blink off when we close out. Hold on.
All right, everyone, have a good night. Be good to each other.
Take care, everybody.
God bless.